Hello and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Today we're pleased to bring you another No Major Glitches League match. And today we have a very special presentation because we have Light World and Dark World round 3 at the same time. On the left we have Doomtap and Fricker representing the Dark World, and daaanty and MrAaronSnerd on the right side. Oh, daaanty! I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. And MrAaronSnerd on the right side representing Light World. And I am pleased to have on commentary Clear Mouse and Relkin. And how you doing? And I'm going to mute myself so we can get going.
Thanks,
so,
Nori.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, thanks, Nori.
Yep.
Appreciate you doing the restream. Yeah. Relkin, how's it going, man? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, four-way race is a little chaotic, but I'm still ready to have a good time here.
Oh, yeah, no. We've got actually, so 4, and I think, Nori, can't remember Nori actually mentioned this, but this is actually the first of a back-to-back 4-way race. And today, like, for this particular one, yeah, we've got 4, like, really, really solid runners. I mean, everyone in the league is obviously very talented. We can start, with the Dark World division. This is a Doomtap versus Fricker. Doomtap is one of the select few who actually has a PB of a 123, specifically 123.35. Fricker, also one of the elites, having a PV time of 124.52. Certainly going to be quite the nice matchup. In the Light World division, we have daaanty versus MrAaronSnerd. daaanty has a 127 PB, and MrAaronSnerd has a 129 PB. So honestly, like, between the two sets of runners, like, their PBs are actually, like, within a minute, right-ish of each other. Should actually be, like, a really, really good a race all around.
Yeah, you mentioned, daaanty and Aaron's PBs. I believe they're within 2 minutes of each other, so a bit of a big spread there in terms of difference. But yeah, on the Doomtap Fricker side, it's just over a minute, so a lot closer on that side, I'd say.
Yeah, but I mean, so PBs though, certainly going to be a little bit different, between, let's say, a race time. Right, in this case, so you have essentially all the time in the world. You want to grind out for a PB, right? Something doesn't go right in escape, like, you get hit by, like, the first green guard, and maybe you get in long state or something. You're just like, oh, nope, I'm not going to take this. I'm just going to reset in a race that may not always be the case. You don't really necessarily have that luxury.
Yeah. I mean, if long state were to happen, you just take the damage and you're good.
Yeah, right. But I mean,
right.
Like, anything that doesn't happen, quote unquote, on script or in plan, right? You're just either immediately, like, tilted, or, like, it's like, oh my gosh, no, like, I've already lost all this time. How am I going to make it up?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's a race setting, and the pressure and the nerves are a bit higher, just because you want to win the race. Don't want to mess up, because it's different, you know what I mean? You're grinding PB attempts, it's just like, oh, it's another run, I'll just reset. Well, no, I gotta keep going. I gotta hopefully make up time somewhere along the way on my opponent,
Yeah, and so even though this is a regular standard vanilla game, runners are of course allowed to watch their opponent, specifically like Doomtap, probably going to keep a closer on Fricker, daaanty maybe keeping a good eye on MrAaronSnerd. They're also allowed to watch the restream, I guess it could be a blessing and a curse, right? I don't know, like how do you feel about watching the restream or like your opponent Relkin in this? Like, do you get more nervous? Like, do you get less nervous? Do you just want to like shut everything out? You don't want to watch at all?
I personally don't think it affects me too much, but it's definitely one of those things that I'll just forget about it right up until race time, and then I won't think to turn on the restream until like midway through the run for some reason.
Okay. That could be a good thing, right? Because right. I guess knowledge doesn't always, it could be like blissful ignorance, right? Or it could be, or it could be basically just like,
ignorance.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, especially if maybe you maybe not feeling great about your run, right? Maybe you're like not feeling great, and then you suddenly see your opponent is like, I don't know, 30 seconds, to a minute ahead of you, and you're just like, it may not always like be the greatest for morale.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes it, like, no matter what happens to you, you could still be ahead if you're not paying attention. Like, for instance, one of my races, I had one of my worst light rolls ever, and I somehow was still ahead coming into Dark World against Bentizi, and I was super shocked to find that out after I left Skullwoods. And so it's just you just got to keep playing the game, like you may be not having the best time, but you play it out. You play it out and see what happens, because anything, like, the game's not over till it's over.
Yeah, no, that is 100% true. Especially in a race, right? You definitely want to make sure that. I mean, I guess just like anything else, right? You really don't, want to stop until you see the dot done. I guess in the race room.
Right.
Speaking of, all right. So I guess like we've already kind of made our way so far into escape. Looks like most of the everyone looks like he's gone through A/, although MrAaronSnerd's got a little bit more company, I guess, on his screen. I guess the green guard decided to kind of maneuver over here and wanted to say hi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if that guy notices you, you kind of have to just like time it right where you can just throw the boomerang at a point where the ball and chain is not swinging at you. That way you can have a clear path to, dispatch of that guard.
Okay. I mean, do you like try to preemptively boom the green guard if you think he's gonna like kind of come over and and mess things up? Because you really want to have like a clean ball and chain, right?
You do, but I feel like it's so rare that it happens that you don't usually worry about it. So I think you just don't bother, and if something happens, then you just gotta deal with it.
All right, yeah. So dealing with that seems to be the motto of escape. We don't have a lot of I would say like movement actions or abilities, right? We've kind of gotten our our D-pads.
Right.
It's kind of about it. no A button, no dashing, no hook shot. I think
very bare bones. It's like, okay, the game. This is how the game the devs wanted you to play this game. Very bare bones at the start, and then just kind of gradually work your way up.
Yeah. And from a game design perspective, I think it's actually, a really, well done for progression, right? You kind of, you start out with, as you said, nothing, right? Just directional D-pads, but then, as the game progresses, you get more and more things. It kind of makes you better appreciate the things that you get, right? Of course, the big item, of course, are going to be the boots around the 11-minute mark, but that's certainly going to be really nice, at least see in this case, we can at least get through escape.
Yes. Alright, so just a quick note here. Fricker's actually the only one who would benefit from the most from this. He decided not to do it. There's a heart in that pot in that very first dark room here, and he could have grabbed it to get back to full health. This is a race scenario, may I remind you people. So stuff like this, it can weigh on your mind if you want to try and make sure you don't die in this first dungeon of the game. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to bring back any painful memories, Rockin, about dying in this game.
Just in case it happens to you, like it happened to me.
Exactly. It happens to. It can happen to anybody, regardless of your PB time. Yeah, and as you mentioned, right? So, like, if escape, even though it's the first segment, of the game, it's supposed to be kind of like the tutorial. Again, bare bones everything, right? Like there are only kind of limited things you can do, but it's actually to go fast and do optimal movement. It is surprisingly difficult. Especially, for example, for like ball and chain guard, right? 1 heart of damage, per hit. Something doesn't go right, suddenly you're dead.
Yeah, suddenly, it's just over. Reset, 2 minutes into the game, reset.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we don't actually have Dancy's audio, but I believe actually with that 1 heart, he should be having some heart beeps. If we have in this case, some sync going on, we actually see in this case the text box based on for heartbeat flames. Actually, should just scroll a little bit faster actually compared to everybody else who's at reasonably healthy.
Right.
We're reasonably healthy.
Yeah. For whatever reason, it's weird because it's this early in the game and it shouldn't have that much of an effect, but it does. Like the less hearts on screen actually contribute to the sprite count, I guess, and that allows the text to scroll faster because less things are on the screen.
Yeah, it's I guess it is actually interesting, right? And because it's kind of like a gambit, right? It's like on the one hand you could save some time, by getting yourself down to low health, intentionally or not. But I guess on the other hand, it's like especially looking at Fricker's side, we are only on 1.5 hearts. This Eastern Palace overworld actually can be everything is surprisingly difficult if you want to go fast.
Yeah. Just a quick other note about safety and health and all that. You will note that the only person that did not grab that heart container leading escape was Mr. Fricker22 on the bottom left. That's his normal way of playing the game. He does not grab it.
Yeah, by the way, you actually mentioned before, right? Like PB versus, race attempts, right? Sometimes in races you do a little bit things differently. Maybe you're a little bit more conservative because, again, the priority is to survive, right? And win the race as opposed to get the absolute fastest time possible, right? Fricker, and I think actually Ben, were probably like one of the only 2 people who actually skipped Sandcart in races. Like even like Ari and Blaine, right? Top 123 runners. They Doomtap, right? They all picked up Sandcart just in case.
Yeah, race scenario. You gotta think about these things a little bit better. And so grabbing Sankard is one of those ways you can prevent happy accidents.
Have there ever been accidents that are happy? I'm trying to think in this case.
Hey, I'm trying to be positive, okay?
That's true. That's true. I approve of the radiant positivity. That's exactly correct. I was actually thinking maybe like the green Igors could be like the little trees or something, you know, with the Bob Ross paintings. You really don't want them to like fall on you, right?
Yeah.
So otherwise though, you know, overall, again, Eastern Palace is, you know, in this case, the very first dungeon of the game that we're intended to go to. You know, we skip basically all of the unnecessary, you know, small/large talk. You don't have to go to Kakariko to talk to Saha's, I don't know, son, nephew, somebody who tells you, oh yeah, like Saha is it?
Yeah, I think it's the wife, honestly.
Oh, okay. And then, yeah, they'll mark the map for you to tell you to all the way come over here to the Eastern Palace area. And then Saha's like, you know what? You have to prove your worth to me. So go get the pendant from Eastern Palace, and then I'll give you something good. And that'll be, you know, like, your proof that you are worthy of, you know, this prize.
Alright, coming up here, we got their first kind of, one of those little make or break early things. You got a damage boost off of this Popo, and then lift the pot, and then step on the switch before you take damage again, and you will activate the switch and get the chest to show up instead of having to kill all the enemies to move these guys out of your way.
Yeah.
And it costs a heart and a half, and if you don't have a lot of health, you could die very easily in that room.
Yeah, and you know, while it's not probably one of the, you know, more commonly listed scenarios as dying in Eastern Palace without health, but I mean, you just mentioned, right? We're doing a damage boost of 1.5 hearts. Well, if you don't really have that much health, especially, you know, on like for example on Fricker's side, only 3 hearts. You know, that Sankard actually could come into play.
That's half of his health down just like that, and so he needs to preserve.
Oh no, daaanty! Oh my god!
Oh, and okay,
wait.
All right.
Thank you, Sankard. All right, so that was almost a happy little accident with the green Igors. daaanty is demonstrating that yes, in fact, they do 1 heart of damage. Another reason why we pick up Sankard.
Yes. So yeah, if those guys only remain awake for like a range of like 2 to 3 or 4 seconds, and if they fall asleep, they're back to being invulnerable, and therefore you cannot hurt them.
Yeah, but they can certainly still hurt you, especially if you walk into them.
Yeah.
daaanty, I think, be a little bit more conservative because he is on 1 heart. You know, he doesn't want to touch the red Igors. But otherwise, you know, we've gotten kind of like a sequential quick Armos' kill. You know, Doomtap's got it first, followed by Fricker. Looks like actually neck and neck between daaanty and MrAaronSnerd.
Yeah, if you notice there on AalttP's side, he actually decided to go a little bit out of his way here in that final room before the boss. The red rupee dropped there, and he also picked up an arrow pot just to get up to 30 arrows and to grip that red rupee. He said because we want to at least have 4 rupees by the time we get to the end of the 3rd dungeon, and, well, 3rd pendant, I should say. And getting the red rupee actually can save you a little bit of time in that segment as well, if you get more money prior to that.
Yeah, and plus it also just gives you some peace of mind, right? So I mean, like right now, you know, daaanty's got his requisite, you know, 5 rupees, and this 4 rupees, right? MrAaronSnerd and Fricker both are pretty dang rich. Doomtap, though, on the other hand, actually still needs to be a little bit catchy. He has plenty of more opportunities, but you know, I mean, if you'd rather have the rupees sooner rather than later.
So the way what he can do in his next dungeon is there is a big group of pots right before the dungeon item, and he can just pick up that one that has a blue rupee, and he'll get up to 7. If, you know, worst comes to worst. Like, that is the rupee you grab if you do not have enough.
Yeah. I mean, I really have to, like, you know, while this game is, you know, the route is, you know, pretty set, you know, kind of at this point, but it's kind of like the one nice thing, I think, in general about this speedrun is it really tries to kind of limit the RNG, you know, affected, not necessarily with enemies per se, but just in this case, like, we need money, right, for pod and for all the other stuff, right? But in this case, like, you really don't even have to go out of your way to farm, you know, that much money, right? Basically just kind of, like, built in right in your
the optimization of this game has just been so nice, and it's just, you know, those convenient trees on the way to the pedestal, like, you can do that, or when you get the boots, you can just, you know, bonk the wall behind Sahasrahla and get your $100 there.
Yeah. Speaking of the boots, by the way, we finally did turn in our green pendant. We actually see everybody here dashing to their heart's content. Some of them, or most of them, did attempt, I think, a minor glitch called spin speed. That basically lets you, in this case, move with the boots movement, but in this case, you can change direction at no cost, and also don't have to, recharge and readjust basically your dash.
Yeah, and the only downside is that you cannot swing your sword during that state, so you are defenseless, so you just have to dodge and move fast.
Yeah, but we got super speed, right? They can only hurt us if they catch us. That's
right. Yeah. Like you can't. Nothing will hurt you because you're so fast that they can't even see you, right?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we're not going to pick up the cape in this particular run, but yes, I certainly do appreciate the sentiment. And actually, for what it's worth, a spin speed is only available, actually, I believe only in the Japanese 1.0 version. That is the version that everybody in this case is playing on. And in some screens, I think coming up, basically, when we go visit like the library screen again post-AGA, spin speed is actually very requisite in order to get past the enemies in order to not take any damage.
Alright, so I'm going to take a second here to look at each runner's arrow count. So the person with the least amount of arrows right now is Fricker. You will want to collect a lot of arrows here in the early game. You get a whole bunch in this dungeon, and that's for the boss coming up at the end. And then those arrows are also going to be carried... Yeah, the best boss. And then you're going to carry those over into the dungeon right before Dark World. You need arrows to make a lot of combat faster in this game. Arrows are just kind of those things you have to be very careful about managing.
Yeah, I mean, resources in general, I think you are correct. Like, especially bombs, bombs, arrows, and money, right? Everything is, pretty well planned. But yeah, specifically arrows, right? Especially in this case, you listen to, maybe NMG runners kind of like talk about their route. It is a constant like, what is my arrow count? How many arrows do I have? Where are the next arrows coming from? Type of thing.
Yeah, and like you said, where the next arrow is coming from, usually that involves enemy drops. So certain enemies in this game will drop a group of items in a set order that they don't always drop. It's a 50% chance. It's 50% chance of dropping said item, and it always comes in a set order, no matter what. There's a couple exceptions. Whenever you stun an enemy, it will always drop a green rupee, no matter what you do to it. If you dash into an enemy, it does not drop an item. We will actually take advantage of that dashing feature in a little bit, but yeah, you just keep be mindful of all the drops that are available to you in this game when planning out your route.
Oh yeah. No, it's actually a good thing that you mentioned actually the different drops and like methods, and we can actually kill you. Yeah, we're definitely gonna see the dash kill technique kind of be used in order to preserve the prize pack in this case, so we can.
Yes.
Well, that's all part of the plan.
Yes. All right, so you touched on this a little second ago. Why is this the best boss again? Why is this dungeon boss the best one?
Roken, so as you did mention, that the bow that we picked up at Easter Palace actually is arguably the best weapon we have to date. At this particular point, it is the weapon that does the most amount of damage to this land mollusk boss. There are 3 worms, and it is, especially when practiced well, it is quite the show in this case. Right. We're actually going to get a setup here. Everyone's going to come to do this, but you can see Doomtap bonking to the end of the screen, setting up his for the first cycle, and then basically you can try and get 4 arrows in each worm. It's actually a pretty reasonable start. Doomtap's already actually gone. Might be good actually with 3 cycle. Fast 3 cycle. Really nicely done. Fricker is not far behind him. Oh no, so short half though. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
Oh no!
Oh no, Fricker!
Fricker, no!
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So for what it's worth, kind of unlike Armos Knights, where they move in an exact fixed pattern, right? We see everyone had a really nice quick kill on them. Our Landmos is technically still fixed on the very first cycle. You can basically just kind of read in this. I think it's one of like 24 or like 48 possibilities, but it is technically fixed, so you can kind of try and set yourself up for it. Everything else is just, after that, is just RNG. You just gotta, you know, learn to read it and to react and hope that they're not, you know, too mean to you. Like Fricker had a short hop, right? You know, if Landmills doesn't start, you know, doesn't stay in the air, you really can't do much about it.
Yeah, the very first setup phase there is like the most consistent way to get multiple hits on each of them, and because they always start in the same spot there. After that, though, you just have to just position yourself properly and just hope for the best in terms of which way they go or how long they stay in the air.
All right, but you know, looks like though we're already past Landless. So Doomtap's already gone past the, I would say, the dangerous part. In this case, of the fake flipper. A glitch. Fricker, you know, very close behind him. daaanty and MrAaronSnerd are actually just setting up, and so this case, those of you, especially if you play maybe like Randomizer, seen this pretty often. If you, in this case, transition on the same frame and you drop into the water, the game in this case will think we're just swimming. As demonstrated in this case, sometimes that is like the backup setup that you actually can see.
Yeah, what happened to daaanty there is he got the setup properly with the sword slash in the bush, but sometimes, depending on how long you hold the sword, your movement can vary. Like, it's a very small chance of it happening, basically. But he got boosted 1 pixel, or he didn't get enough pixel, I guess, because when he tried to jump into water, he didn't transcend to the screen. He just splashed and returned back to the starting point. So he had to try and buffer 1 pixel to the right, which is just 1 sword slash, basically. Did not get that, so he screen transition and had to set it up again from the right side.
Yeah, so I mean, not again, like not too big of a time loss, right? It's just kind of like a little minor adjustment, but again, you know, this is, well, it's just something that, you know, is something you have to count for. Although, right, so you mentioned actually, yeah, you also was going to say, you mentioned in this case spin speed, right? Being able to basically, do this. So this is actually one of those screens where, well, you in this case seeing a bunch of boulders and dead rocks that you may have experienced that are not really great in terms of reacting to. So,
especially look, oh my goodness, look on daaanty's side. He's down to 2 hearts, Fricker is down to 2 hearts, and Aaron's down to 2 hearts now. Like, man, this screen's terrible. Get it out of the game, dude.
I know, it is. And it's actually one of the, and of course, even setting up spin speed also does take up time, right? This is one of the few instances where if you don't get spin speed immediately, it is actually worth your time to try, just because the dead rocks and the boulders are just so dangerous. You know, you can't really control the RNG, right? So it's just better to, speaking of RNG, poor daaanty. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Fricker, I guess, he may have taken an intentional death warp there, because I don't, like, so he must have gone down to get that key. Either he intentionally took a death warp or actually just got crazy, like, destroyed by that mold worm, because he died and therefore has more hearts now. Yeah. Okay, so Bidey's saying it was not intentional, so...
That is unfortunate, but you know, not the worst place in order to take a death, right? We have, once we're, you know, out of the Death Mountain overworld, we have the quote-unquote solace of Hera, but at least if you die here, you just get warped back to the beginning of the dungeon versus at the bottom of the mountain.
Right.
I actually, you mentioned so Aaron, MrAaronSnerd and daaanty are both on 2 hearts. It's like, I don't think they typically would death warp out of Hera Basement in order to get a couple extra hearts. It is still very much allowed, but again, this is also a race situation. You know, dying here is much nicer and faster than if you like die at the top of a tower.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really just scenario dependent, like how much health you have at the time. And really, it's only a select few dungeons where dying actually could be beneficial. Like, this is the one you'd want to die in at the very beginning. And pretty much every other dungeon you don't want to die in.
Yeah, dying is usually, like, not a good idea. But I guess maybe it could be countered if your opponent dies as well, but we're not going to hope for that kind of scenario.
Alright,
looks like Doomtap. First up to Molder, while Fricker is probably going to set up some sort of bomb jump, not quite early bomb jump. It's still going to be taking a shortcut over to the big chest.
Doomtap taking some dash strats through Moldorm to make it safe and easy, and
yeah,
gets it done.
man. Okay, whenever Moldorm goes down that fast, you're just like, oh, well, that boss doesn't look too difficult. And then you kind of try, like you don't realize like how subtle or calculated some of these movements are in order to kind of even like control and like read Moldorm's movements.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Moldorm goes poorly, it goes super poorly.
Yeah, it's you lose a lot of time from messing up Moldorm, like even the slightest.
Yeah, I'm watching Fricker's Moldorm fight right now. He did get hits, and again, he also doesn't have the safety of Sankard, and he is kind of needs to make sure that he does not also get hit. Oh wow.
Fricker playing with fire there a little bit with one heart, but he gets the job done. MrAaronSnerd wrapping up Moldorm himself. Daaanty is on the final hit here, so let's see if he can close it out.
Oh
almost
my
no!
Oh my gosh! Oh, he was so close, and yeah, Daaanty unfortunately is showing the consequences of what happens. One, you want some health in order to be able to at least stay alive, but Moldorm does not have to be kind to you.
Yep, and see, just the longer the fight goes on, and if you mess up, that's how much time sunk.
Oh, actually, it's okay. So contrast, let's see. So Doomtap, though, already basically at the pedestal, so he, in this case, did in fact go for the rupees that literally grow on money that you had mentioned earlier, Relkin. That's, well, in this case, there are actually happy trees, but no happy accidents. So actually, Relkin, is this rupee count okay? Because he got all of them, but then he just needs the one in the circle of pots?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
If you need at least 24 coming out of that screen.
Okay, cool. Alright, okay, yeah, so, as in this case, Fricker is also making his way to the pedestal, talking about tree rupees. The most important part right now for Doomtap is that he does not get hit. So unfortunately, in order to get the money that literally grows on trees, we have to do a little bit of hunting, maybe a little bit of foraging, and we just need to make sure that we kill 4 enemies without taking damage in order to get the rest of the, in this case, like the 420 rupees. Oh my gosh.
And we don't need to bonk on bushes.
Oh wow. Actually, do you know if it's possible to bonk and then accidentally get the mushroom?
You have to be pretty dang high for that to happen, I think.
Okay.
That
might...
not that high.
I don't know if that would be like a tilting moment, but I mean, again, talking about these runners who are very, very talented, also relying a lot of muscle memory, and that includes menus. I'm pretty sure at this point nobody actually, counts for the mushroom in the menu anymore. I don't know what would happen.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Spidey. Oh my gosh. Alright, Roken, you mentioned actually something earlier about dash killing enemies?
Mm-hmm.
Is that coming up here on Doomtap's side?
Oh yeah, you know what? It is. Okay, so sorry, I had to really sell that one there. Alright, so when we talked about earlier with dashing through enemies, so that makes it that there is no drop at all, ever. Dashing through an enemy makes it that there is no drop. And why we want to do that here in this next room is because this certain prize pack that these enemies are in, it has a fairy in it. And we want to preserve that fairy until the last crystal dungeon of the Dark World.
Yeah, and right, and so, like, especially, so there are multiple points of the game where the game kind of, like, ups its difficulty level, especially in this case when the game, as, like, the main dungeon prizes, is, like, armor, right? Basically stuff that, like, halves the damage. So, being the last, crystal dungeon of the game before we kind of go see the final boss, the game's difficulty, is ramped up pretty high, right? As opposed to contrasting to Light World, worst case, right? Like, Igors do 1 damage, but most things, do like half a heart, quarter of a heart, etc., right? Everything in Turtle Rock does, like 3 to 4, and so to be able to have not only that safety, but also, still be able to damage boost is super, super helpful.
Okay, so another thing to talk about in this dungeon is having sword beams. Aaron got hit on the way to the castle, which his dash. Oh yeah, speaking of getting hit. And see, this is the danger. When you can't dash into those enemies, you can get a drop. So that is not... Okay, so it's not the worst situation to happen. If you get both drops, you'll get the fairy immediately in that room, and that means you don't have it for later. But he only got the heart, so there's still a chance he's okay, but it's a lot less safe. It's basically a 50-50 shot that he can preserve it.
Right,
Okay, back
yeah,
to
you
the
actually
beams
mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, back to the beams discussion though. So this dungeon is made a lot easier with sword beams in tow. Lots of rooms benefit from the use of sword beams, especially the prize pack guard room right here, because that just sets up the kill so much easier. It makes things a lot faster. It saves arrows, which we talked about arrow management earlier. And then it also makes one of the rooms at the top here, the circle of pots, which Fricker's about to enter here. You can save a menu buffer to the boomerang and read the RNG of that right spear guard and pick up the key with the boomerang after you kill the middle one. So just saying, sword beams, you want to have them in Aga Tower if you can help it. It's not impossible to deal with it if you don't have them, but it is way easier.
Yeah, and it seems actually a lot of, in this case, like, you know, we see runners doing like safer strats or consistent strats, right? You know, sword beam certainly does, or really does, you know, make your own run a bit more consistent. I also didn't realize, by the way, that MrAaronSnerd actually does have the mushroom, you know, in his inventory. So that actually is kind of an interesting. I don't think anybody else picked it up, for what it's worth.
I think you're right. I think he might. I'm not sure if anyone else in the light world might pick up that mushroom. That is typically like a starter pack kind of thing. If you're like just running the game for the first time, if you want an easy safety to take with you, that is the safety you pick up.
Yeah. I mean, right. So the more casual player, you know, probably has seen that you take the mushroom to go turn into, like, you know, the potion shop, so you get the powder, and then you can powder anti-fairies, right? So it turns out, actually, you know, that you can still, you know, fake powder, as long as you have the Cane of Samaria and no magic, it actually acts as if you know, the mushroom basically is your powder. So in this case, yeah, it can save us a bunch of time, but in this case, you know, we can still use the power of the powder later on. All right, yeah, looks like, though, potentially, you know, after all of that discussion, you know, we're kind of at the last, you know, barrier, literally, between, you know, Light World and Dark World, facing off against Aga. Looks like actually Doomtap, you know, has conquered RNG, gotten 0 blue balls. I think he's ready for a run.
Did he get 0?
I mean, it looks like it.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's yeah, and you know, for the record, you know, this is all 4 separate games. It's not like, you know, just because Doomtap's gotten 0 means that, you know, Fricker in this case got 0, or anyone else can get 0. You're just gonna hope in this case that the RNG does not totally screw you over. You know, I think Shax last year got 11 blue balls in a race. Shady last week got 10. Not the greatest. Yeah.
Actually, no, that was like a couple days ago.
Was it like, yeah, 2 days ago? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, what Clearmouse is saying, this boss is 50-50, the boss fight, basically. The fight can take basically, you know, anywhere from a minute and a half to, well, the entire segment of the Aga Fight Plus cutscene can take anywhere from a minute and a half to like 3 minutes. It can be really variant.
Yeah, and right, you know, and it's you never want to have a race decided by, like, you know, one person having, you know, let's say like 2 blue balls, another person having like 6 or something like that. But it is just kind of like a consequence again of racing. Doesn't actually look like it's too big of a difference so far, at least for blue balls. Doomtap and Fricker, I actually didn't see in this case what the difference was, but I don't think it's gonna be anything insurmountable.
Yeah. Alright, I did not pay attention too closely on the MrAaronSnerd and daaanty side on blue balls. I did see they got a few, at least. I'm not sure how many, though.
Yeah, but yeah, same here. But it doesn't actually look like the time difference, though, is really separated. It's made actually like that much worse by blue balls, so that's kind of like what you want to be able to see.
Right.
So at least MrAaronSnerd is coming into, you know, Pot Overworld, which Doomtap and Fricker has already paid off. In this case, Kiki. Doomtap had a actually pretty close encounter with some of the spears on the moblins that were throwing. And at that point, he only had 103 rupees, so it was a very good thing he did not get hit and was able to, you know, open the pod door safe. It looks like at least MrAaronSnerd. I think actually Fricker also had a bit of a buffer. Daanty's got more than enough buffer. Just in case, if he loses Kiki. I mean, it's a little bit of a time loss, but, you know, at least you don't have to go farm, you know, and panic rupees.
Lose Kiki twice and still be fine.
Alright, looks like, though, Doomtap's coming up with one of the kind of like major sequence breaks of the game. You want to mention something about this, Relkin?
It's hard, and it's one of those little gatekeeper glitches of the Dark World.
Alright, okay.
Okay, anyways, I'll speak a little bit more on this. So, you gotta first line up yourself on a specific Y coordinates on that bridge before it collapses too much. You place a bomb, and you want to place it to your right, so you can get blasted to the left to clip to the rail. And then after that, you have to set yourself on a different Y coordinate to get on the correct position to be clipped into that rail. And that will let you get to that big chest very early in the dungeon and skip having to need to go around a long way to spend like 40 seconds picking up a key. And it's just awful. And this glitch just, this trick saves so much time in the speedrun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you actually mentioned, right, it's something like the alternative is like 40 seconds spent or something like that, right? And I guess even, I don't actually think that Doomtap actually had that many buffers, but I think in order to kind of like readjust yourself, right, you can do like menu buffers or like select buffers, basically, trying to get yourself in position, right? And it's something like, for reference, one menu buffer is like 1 second, so you can like buffer,
menu buffer is like a second and a half.
A second and a half? Okay. Yeah. Alright. Well, alright, so in this case, you can buffer quite a few number of times, right? It's still save time over like the intended route, I guess.
Yeah, I think now that I think about it a little harder, I think it's like maybe a second, like 1.25 seconds to be like close, I think. Okay. Oh, okay. Fox with the knowledge though, 64 frames. So there you go. That's a second in 4 frames, like optimally.
Oh no, Doomtap, having a little bit of a turtle party. We never want to party with turtles. The best kinds of turtles are the ones that are flipped over, and unfortunately, I guess maybe maybe a hammerhead didn't hit or something, or didn't register.
Okay, so this boss, speaking of more hard things in the Dark World, this is the, I guess you could say this is the gatekeeper boss inside of the Dark World itself. This boss does a lot of damage for, how little health that we have.
Yeah. I guess the poster boss of why people pick up Sankar.
There you go. Great way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Doomtap's showing like why he has a 123 and just dispatching so quickly. So who cares, right?
Yeah, and in fact, actually, talking more about like spin speed, right? The fact that we can actually arm spin speed and use it to kind of offset the hammer's hitbox, so we can actually use the hammer more effectively to do, in this case, temper sword damage versus master sword damage, has also just made the fight a lot safer. Yeah, I don't actually know how recent it was. I mean, it's like semi-recent. It's not like super recent, but it certainly was not part of the, I guess, like traditional execution, I guess, like options, for people. And so, Helmet Sword definitely was, as you said, the gatekeeper to Dark Worlds.
Yeah. All right. So, looking at arrow counts again, I think everyone is in okay shape. So you want to have, you especially want to have enough arrows to hit that eye statue that daaanty just hit. So. And then for the rest of the game, you're going to be here and there, a couple areas in the game, you're going to be picking up some more arrows just to make sure we have enough for the 6th dungeon. And you'll be seeing that in, on enemy drops, and you'll be seeing it in the swamp dungeon where we pick up a bunch of arrows in there. So just more arrow management to think about, and just reminding yourself what drop you are on in the specific prize pack that gives you arrows. And yeah, we're just going to continue on our way here to head towards the shovel and flute activation into Thief's Town.
Yeah, and so finally, we got, amazingly, even in Dark World, we're actually still starting in chronological order. We are actually doing the first dungeon, despite actually how difficult it was. It is the first intended dungeon of the game, but now we're going to do a slight different ordering.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so, again, offense, the better your offense is, not only, of course, the faster everything's gonna go down, but also, it's better defense, right? Offense is the best defense. And so we're gonna try and, not only, of course, get a better movement, for the flute, we're also gonna try and upgrade our sword to be the temper sword as fast as we possibly can.
Yes. Alright, so, okay, just a real quick note, everyone made it through the gatekeeper boss, we are good. We are, everything is fine, we can relax, it's a comfy Dark World now.
Yeah, that's actually true. And you know, actually, this is actually somewhat to be underrated, especially in race settings, right? Your nerves actually might be, you know, a little bit more active. Deaths, you know, major or minor screw-ups certainly could be, you know, more prevalent. And the fact that, you know, all 4 runners are actually keeping it together pretty well, right? So it's a good testament to their skill.
All right, so in terms of let's talk a little about the current race outlook here with the separation between our two both sets of runners. So currently, Doomtap just activated his flute. Fricker literally just picked up the shovel as I was talking. So that is around a minute, I believe. I want to say. Or actually, maybe a little less.
I'm gonna trust you, Relkin. Yeah.
I think it's a little less than a minute.
Okay. Although that minute might just be, you know, or maybe less than a minute. Actually, might just be a full minute because unfortunately, it looks like Fricker did not actually mirror in the right location. So unfortunately, I think he lost on 34 free frames. Basically getting up.
Oh man, 34 frames. Oh no, the race is over.
I mean, you know, it's half a second, right? These things add up. Yeah.
But yeah, so what Clearmass is talking about there, 34 frames. So depending on what X coordinate you are switching between worlds, light world and dark world, you will have sometimes the animation, so switching, be cut off by 34 frames. That's called a quick warp. There are setups for each of the quick warps that we try and attempt here in the speedrun. Some of them are harder than others just because of there's a lot less consistency in some of the methods. But we do want to try and save those 34 frames to save around 8 seconds of the course of the run. Yeah, I want to say I think there's that sounds right. Maybe like 8 to 10 or something like that. I mean, it's actually, you know, fairly significant, right? Because, you know, again, like we're in the dark world, we still need to apparently still go to the light world for stuff, you know, and like going back between, you know, the worlds, it's actually a good number of mirror transitions. Yeah. Okay, and then I forgot. I was talking about the difference, and I forgot to go over the light world side. So daaanty and ALttP are really close to each other, actually. It's about maybe 10 to 15 seconds, I want to say, separating them two.
Yeah, it certainly does look very, very close.
We'll be keeping an eye on the right side, especially since that is in terms of between all 4 runners, those two are paired up against each other, daaanty and ALttP, and Doomtap and Fricker are paired up against each other. We'll definitely still fill you in on what to be looking for in terms of what could possibly, you know, give one or the other runner a chance down the stretch here in terms of difficult things or RNG luck and all that. I was gonna say, so speaking of RNG luck though, so Doomtap's kind of further cemented, you know, as he's conquered the Hellway in this case, he got onto the right pixel, was able to make a very clean dash north, you know, for that screen, and also was not bodied by any of the enemies. So really, you know, nice time save there on Doomtap's side. Hopefully Fricker's gonna be able to do something similar, but even if you get into the right position, the enemies don't always have to cooperate with you, and then, you know, I guess the best you can do, right, is you'll take your couple seconds lost and hope that you can recover. Exactly. Yeah, so here comes the Hellway, as you were talking about on Fricker's side. Let's see what happens.
That doesn't quite look okay. Not
the best RNG. He's gonna have to. He's just gonna wait it out and get hit by the Anti-Fury. Enemies
don't always have to be kind to you. I don't think Fricker was quite on the right pixel regardless, but I mean those Patrick Star enemies, I think they didn't have to body him so much either.
So if you're talking about when he first started the dash, he actually couldn't because of the
enemies, right? Yeah. Oh, that's true.
But he had got back on the pixel, but the enemies were still in his way, so he still had to wait and kind of adjust. All right, so this upcoming boss fight here, Clearmatch, you want to talk about this one?
Well, this upcoming boss fight. Who hasn't seen Blind? After all this time.
blind people probably haven't seen Blind.
That's actually probably true. And in fact, actually, if we didn't actually bomb open the attic and get this really nice sunroof over our maiden, we probably would never actually see Blind at all.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what's this thing about scripted fight? I hear.
I know. I also did hear this too. Apparently in this vanilla game is that whatever you do, blind's going. Whatever your movements are, blind is going to react to them the exact same time every single time. So so long as you do the same thing, blind's always going to do the same thing. And if you can predict in this case or anticipate his movements, you can actually get a pretty nice script and kill him relatively quickly.
Yep, and you saw Doomtap execute these scripts. Just about as well as you can do it. There are like a few, like the only really time, like if assuming the runner does the script properly, there's like a few frames or so that you might lose depending on how clean your hits were in like the third phase. Other than that though, the fight goes the same way every time, assuming you do the movements properly.
Yeah, actually, and do you know in this case if sword beams make much of a difference? Like, can they like speed up the fight a little bit? Can they maybe like slow down the fight a little bit? I guess maybe it depends on how the register.
I think it's like the final hit. There might be some sort of beam strat you can employ. If I remember correctly, I heard someone say that the final hit is the one you could take advantage of beams with.
Okay, cool. No, that's certainly really like good to know. And and maybe that's actually like a very slight variation, just because, well, if you happen to be both a little bit lucky, a little bit good, you could actually not take any damage from the overworld and not take any damage going to blind, right? So it doesn't always have to be the exact, I guess, like scripted fight, but it certainly could be.
All right, so we're picking up some money here. We talked to this frog here. So if you played this game ever growing up, you may not have actually ever known about this, depending on how you played the game. So these guys, they will upgrade your sword for a low cost of 10 rupees. Yeah, it's in a speedrun, we actually really want this because this makes the entire end game so much more consistent.
Yeah. And for arguably like one of the best items you can get, that's purchasable. Like this is the cheapest for some reason. You said 10 rupees, right? Like we can buy a bottle for 100. One of the reasons, of course, the runners are picking up the 300 now and then soon in C-Shape House is we have to go get flippers as well. And those are 500. But I mean, Temper Sword is like amazingly good. And we're gonna showcase the difference here on Mothula. All right, looks
Left
like
it up.
Left
it up.
Nice.
Let's talk about Fence Dash a little bit, maybe. Or we could just talk about for one frame because that's because 2 frame perfect inputs at the same time is all you need to get Fence Dash.
Yeah, all you need.
All you need.
Frame perfect movements are surprisingly difficult to do. Always really cool to see. Of course, if you don't end up getting it, you do end up getting a unfortunate bonk, and bonks. How much time do they cost? Like a little over a second.
Yeah.
But it's not something that that one might be more like pride as opposed to actual time loss.
Oh man, I guess that means I don't have a lot of pride because I mess that up like 75
No. I mean, no. It's always really cool. It's a really cool feeling once you get it, right? Doomtap, easiest room in the game. Even though the statue, he's demonstrated doesn't have to be exactly aligned on the switch, and then read the Gypto's RMG correctly. Basically he was just right in the way, so Doomtap just gave a little, poke. It's out of the way.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I made an egregious error. I said left and up for some reason. That's like part of it. It's left and A at the same time.
Left and up is like cardinal directions.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. What?
No,
something doesn't
we're all
sound
good.
right here.
Oh no, we're all good. All right.
Okay,
well,
so did Doomtap do the fast bomb jump there?
I think he did. But I also can't swear to it. So I want to say that he did because I didn't actually see him like really pause when he went to bomb jump over to the fire rod. Alright, so Fricker, unfortunately, was he too low maybe? I guess I'm not sure if...
I wasn't paying attention to how low the statue was, so I couldn't tell you.
Alright, yeah, thanks Matt for confirming that Doomtap was in fact doing EPJ. That is actually, that bomb jump is arguably one of the more difficult ones, just because you don't have a pause buffer in order to kind of like readjust yourself. So of course if you fail, not only of course do you lose health, which, you know, actually could matter here, you know, in the back of Skullwoods, but also, again, you mentioned earlier, you know, about resource management, Rolkin. Like, whenever you lose a bomb and you fail, something you gotta account for.
Exactly. Okay, so I gotta point this out because it's brilliant, and I keep forgetting about this tactic. So Fricker actually before he did a slower bomb jump, but at the same time he set himself up where he was facing to the right there after the bomb jump ended. So that way, if he had to fend off one of those mini Moldorms, he could kill him.
Nice, nice.
Right.
That's some heads up thinking. All right, Doomtap. Not, you know, what's this? No, what happened? What happened?
Oh,
did he not get the key?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that key is kind of important. we kind of need that key to get to the back, especially in this case. Maybe if you played, let's say, you know, like the randomizer or entrance or something like that. You know, in this case, that Skullwood, the back of Skullwoods, is definitely gated by not only a sword but also a small key.
Okay, just had a momentary panic there. You know,
okay.
just like I didn't want the speedrun to be like. Just like,
yeah, he was
I'm just gonna, you know, act like I picked the key up and nothing happened, you know, just carry on, mosey on.
Oh, man. You know, I guess Doomtap is the only one who thinks that this room is the easiest room of the game.
Oh, and apparently, I guess we missed this, but I guess Dainty started walking left in that room and thought that,
again, you know, sometimes, you know, you just gotta, you know, forego your rando instincts. In this case, gotta go back to MG. Oh, nice! Fight on Fricker's side, on Mothula. Only one spike is gone? Really solid.
Yeah, so the Mothula fight is a very fast fight, done well. And you can basically judge how fast it was based on how many spikes are or are not missing. So if no spikes are missing, you did the fight pretty much perfectly. If, you know, 1 or 2, then you did it pretty well. And after that, you either got a little unlucky with the Moth's movement pattern but still dealt with it okay, or you may have messed up some of your own movement. It just depends, you know, on Moth. It usually depends on Moth, but then it's on the onus of the player to try and react to how he's moving.
Right, yeah. And, you know, I think this is technically true, I think, for, oh my gosh, yo, MrAaronSnerd almost fell to the pit before lighting that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so, like, it is technically true for every boss, you know, the faster you defeat the boss, like, you know, the easier, the faster, the better, you know, the execution is, right? For Mothula especially, right, you know, you mentioned this case that, you know, when the spikes start moving, right, that's kind of, you could tell how good of a Moth fight you had. You know, you don't want to be in that arena while trying to kill Moth with all the spikes, you know, flying at you and the conveyor belt movement. Like, it is the longer you let this fight on, like, the harder it is.
ALttP dealing pretty well with that Moth RNG just then. Moth hung out the top, but the conveyor was not moving in a great direction for it, so he just waited for him to come down, and the conveyor switched direction, and he turned on the sword, the dash poke strat, and that meant finish the fight in an instant, basically.
Yeah, that's actually really, you know, good for, you know, again, right? It's kind of a testament to players' abilities is when things don't go exactly, you know, as planned, right? Either quote-unquote on script or not, the better you can recover and kind of react. In this case, right, really kind of showcases, you know, how much you played this game.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so finally the payoff for all those rupees we were collecting earlier. We got the Zor Flippers. The next dungeon, we actually don't technically need them to get in, but we need them for the Swamp Dungeon. They are, we can't do without those.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, right, you know, we kind of already demonstrated in the light world, basically using some overworld movement for these, you know, water pools, or whirlpools, that we are able, of course, to swim technically without the flippers. But, you know, why try and fake flipper and spend some extra time setting it up, or you can just, you know, dive straight into the water.
Alright, and when we talked about sword beams in the Agate Tower dungeon, well, they're kind of important in this dungeon and the 2 dungeons after. This room right here, you want to have sword beams for, so you gotta do your best to not take a hit on the overworld before this dungeon entry.
Yeah, I mean, Doomtap did a really nice demonstration. You know, again, anytime you see Baris, you know, those little like floating electrical things, you really always want sword beams. You never want to slash because they know when you decide to slash, that's the moment they start electrocuting you, and then not only, of course, do you lose damage in this case, or you take, you know, you lose your beams. The electrocution animation is surprisingly long, right? So you really, in this case, like you really don't want to lose both time and health.
Exactly. And we were just talking about health management. Daaanty trying to go for a... I guess he tried to go for a greedy dash on the castle bridge screen and got wrecked by the Usain Bolt guard.
Aww.
Sorry, the red spear guard. It's not quite Usain Bolt. But,
yeah, the Usain...
Concept.
Right. It's like his cousin. Alright, another room, of course, Doomtap's kind of demonstrating why you would like sword beams. Again, sword beam out the bar in order to get the key, and then, you know, take a damage boost off the spike, and then you can basically just make one clean dash through.
Yeah, and then we come up to this room, which you saw Doomtap execute nicely. The Ice Palace bomb jump, the one trick that makes this dungeon like half as long.
The one trick! Man, Ganon hates it!
Ganons hate this.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, so I don't know where you in this case like rank like hammer jump and pod versus like Ice Palace bomb jump. Ice Palace bomb jump, I assume is still like higher, right? In terms of like most, you know, requisite tricks in this case to learn for the game. Yeah. And
brief little plug about randomizer. You want to learn that trick for randomizer too.
Yeah.
Just
oh yeah, 100%.
Like it's one of those things that people will say, you know, baptism by fire. Learn Ice Palace bomb jump. Just do it.
Yeah, you don't always have the Kata Sabar yet, by the way. In situations. In which case, yeah, if you've ever tried to do, you know, Ice Palace kind of either like the intentional way, you know, the original, you know, dev intended way, you know, versus like Ice Palace, it is like still minutes. Like it is pretty significant.
Yeah. Alright, cold stare.
Yeah, dropping in. It looks like a single poke. Nicely done, Doomtap.
Yeah. So what you do is you quickly smash with the ice shield surrounding cold stare with all 8 fire rod shots, and then after that, you do either a single poke or double poke into a spin, or you can do 6 slashes, and that will dispatch a ball of puffs. And you have to do it in a very quick way and in a specific direction. That way the puffs all stay together in the corner.
Yeah, right. And again, you know, like the faster you kill this boss, right, the happier you're gonna be. But in this case, it wasn't a problem for Doomtap. But if the puffs, you know, ever separate, you have 3 major problems instead of 1 bunch major problem.
People like to call that a cold party whenever it gets a little out of hand.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of like, you know, the turtle party, you know, it's kind of like a tamer version. You know, turtles only do like 1 heart of damage, and they move pretty slowly, right? Cold Stare, they do 4 hearts of damage. It is not, you know, it is definitely very significant, especially even on this amount of health. And they move pretty quickly, so it's not really a situation where you want to be in. It's like, no! Oh my god! Oh my god. So the good news on Fricker's side is that Singhar wouldn't have helped him in this case because he would only... Everything does at least 2 hearts of damage. Oh my gosh, though.
Okay, he's got 2 left.
Again, this is a good reason why we have Tempered Sword, is imagine you're still here on Master Sword. It is double the amount of slashes you need to do. Oh my gosh, Fricker.
Alright. ALttP making it through Ice House Object. So actually, the another thing you could do in this room is hover, just like Daaanty did. So, hovering.
Hovering. Saving resources and bombs. I guess that is a good thing.
Yeah. It's just about as fast as Ice Palace bomb jump. Probably a little slower, but you know.
Rolkin, I just noticed that Doomtap decided to go get the Ether Medallion before heading to Swamp. What do you think of this?
You know, I wouldn't say it's the right decision, but
it is certainly. I believe, you know, some parties are divided on this decision. You are definitely a Swamp first kind of guy, right?
Yes, I go to Swamp Palace first and then pick up the Ether Medallion the next segment.
Yeah, right. So, so Doomtap certainly does have his reasons. In this case, I don't think it would have probably ended up mattering too much because he also didn't take any damage going up the mountain again, which is also pretty good. But kind of, But, I think, well, see, in this case, actually looks like Fricker does the same shopping, at least as Doomtap so far. Also not taking damage. That is pretty, it's pretty nice.
Alright, daaanty not having quite the best cold stare fight, but it's not going to be much of a problem here. Takes it down like the next 5 seconds, so.
Yeah. He only kind of had like, 1.5 major problems. Unlike Fricker, I think he had, 3 very active puffs.
Alright, and some people might say that cold stare could just be the final, like, dangerous part of the run, honestly. And then there are other arguments for, like, maybe vitreous, depending on who you are, but cold stare, I think, is a pretty, like, crucial part of the run right there, making sure you do not let it get out of hand and kill you easily.
Yeah, I mean, right, we're kind of like coming, the chronological, end game dungeons, right? Ice Palace, a Mire and Turtle Rock, and of course Beyond. That's kind of like at least with the point where the game, again, ups its difficulty, which originally was already pretty difficult in the Dark World. Partially because the prize from Ice Palace is the blue mail, halves its armor that has basically all the damage, so the game's like, oh, okay, well, I assume you have blue mail. How did you get past this place otherwise? So therefore, well, we're just gonna basically have the enemies do like twice as much damage, basically. So it certainly could be quite difficult. And of course, dying to cold stare, right? Not only, of course, do you have to go back to the dungeon, another full dungeon clear, you also have to go find magic somewhere.
Yeah, and so what you do in that scenario is you go complete the Swamp Palace dungeon because that is the quote-unquote fastest way to refill all of your magic.
Alright, looks like, third person onto shopping is MrAaronSnerd. He's also getting ether. So we actually have 3 ether grabbers before Swamp Palace, but I do notice that daaanty has no ether medallion. He is going straight into Swamp Palace.
That's off to you, daaanty. I'm proud of you.
I feel like there is some solidarity here. So Rogan, tell me why you want to go to Swamp Palace first versus getting the ether medallion.
Alright, so the reason I want to go to Swamp Palace first is because I want to have a faster time on the mountain getting the Ether Medallion. And you can do that by using the item that we're going to see Doomtap picking up here in about 30-ish seconds, I guess, maybe a little more. The hook shot. So the hook shot, you can do this thing called hook speed, and you may have been seeing the runners do some what are called item dashes, like where they use an item and dash at the same frame to basically run with the item in their hand and use it right after they finish their dash. You can do the same thing with the hook shot by pressing the item button and a dash button at the same time, and that will activate the spin speed state, where once you touch a manual staircase, you start moving, like Clear Mouse was saying earlier on, you move at the boot speed, but just in any direction, and you don't have to like stop or change directions, try to dash. That's what the hookshot will let you do in less time. You don't have to spin our sword and release it like we did before.
Yeah, also, I mean, for what it sounds like, doing spin speed versus like hook speed or like item dashing in this case, execution-wise, it also sounds a bit easier as well. Yeah, spin speed is, deceptively difficult because you have to roll your thumb from the B to the A button in a very quick motion, and sometimes you'll just like miss the A button, sometimes you'll be a little too slow on the rolling from the B to the A button, sometimes you'll be holding the B button down by accident and therefore didn't do it right, like while you're pressing the A button, and so it's something that's easy to mess up. And hook dashing, you can like retry it, like with a snap of a finger. It's really fast to retry it, and it takes less time to start up, basically. Yeah. So it really does sound like in this case, if you can limit, if you can make your execution life simpler, right? Certainly more power, more consistent, certainly for sure. Alright, so speaking of potentially more consistent, we are actually coming across, at least on Doomtap's side, we're going into Argus. We're gonna actually see another reason why we really like to have Temper Sword for this particular fight.
Yeah, so using that hook dash method I was talking about, we actually can hold our sword out and do hook dashes. One hook dash. That will activate the spin speed state, and that will let our sword do full damage. and we can hook each puff successively, kill it in one attach of our hook shot, and then dispatch of Argus with 2 fire rod shots.
Yeah, that was actually really, really nice fight on Doomtap's side. Zero's, right, and of course you mentioned, especially, being able to do all being able to have temper sword in this case, in order to kill the puff within one shot. Basically lets you, potentially get all the puffs down, before Argus kind of like does his little jump up animation, basically getting a 0 cycle. And I think a 0 cycle isn't always possible. Is that right, Relkin? Like you kind of have to.
So
is that okay? I'm listening. I'm listening.
I believe the answer is theoretically you can always get the 0 cycle no matter what kind of how aggressive Argus is charging towards you. But some patterns are definitely a lot harder to deal with and react to. So
I see. Okay.
I think the idea is that you can always do it, but you just have to be ready and be crisp with your movement.
Okay. I think that's actually a very fair assessment. All right. So Fricker is trying to make his way through swimming the currents. It is actually, again, swimming is definitely difficult in this game, with or without flippers. It just happens to be that with flippers is a little bit less dangerous. Hopefully he's gonna get a 0 cycle here as well. Man,
he does.
Jeez, they make it look so good.
I know. I don't like trying to get the 0 cycle. It's hard. It's easy to mess up, but I definitely still go for it. But some runners are just gods, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say.
Yeah, and and I guess for what it's worth, right? Especially with the level of health that people have, it looks like Daaanty, Doomtap, Fricker, MrAaronSnerd, everybody, going for the 0 cycle probably isn't gonna be as dangerous health wise. Even though in this case, what is it? You could actually jump to taking like 2 hearts of damage per piece. The rest of the dungeon isn't that dangerous, right? So your chance that you're gonna enter an Argus, with like a good amount of health. So you don't have to worry too much.
Okay, so see that pattern right there that Daaanty dealt with? Yeah, that one is a harder one to deal with. He nearly still got it, even with a readjustment, but it's just one of those things, where if you don't react to it, or you just haven't, if you're just slightly off or slightly slow with your movement, you're just gonna not be able to get that 0 cycle and lose 6 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like he got like the empty cycle, which basically it just looks like it's as if Argus done his little like puff party extension dance. It's just like we didn't have any puffs, but we still had to kind of sit through that time and animation.
Argus is a very difficult boss to do well.
Alright, looks like okay, so routing-wise, Doomtap and Fricker basically I think do their shopping, or their errands pick up, at the same time. So both of them basically headed on straight to Mire, no ice rod.
Right. Sorry, I had to be. I was a little concerned there on the ALttP side. So Argus actually every single thing does 2 hearts, and he was actually down to 1 hit kill there.
Oh no!
But he made it through. So take a deep breath, everyone. He made it through.
It's certainly very commendable, by the way, that no major disasters have happened on any of, our 4 runners of screen. Like, I mean, maybe a little bit nicks here and there, but, again, nothing major, right? No deaths to Cold Stare. Hopefully, no deaths to Vitreous.
So, I'm gonna let the guys know, hey, when you're watching this VOD back, think back to this exact moment when Clearmouse just said what she said, and you can blame her for everything that happened.
Oh my, alright, no, you know what? Doomtap and Fricker are both on full health, amazingly, by the way. The fact that, even though they got their ether, they're gonna be just fine.
Alright. But then you could praise Clearmouse if what he says comes through, though. I'll give you that.
Oh no. Alright, so Daaanty finishing up Swamp Palace, he's now gonna go grab his ether medallion. And actually he did a very nice demonstration of why hook speed is just so nice, right? A couple taps with the A and Y button, and bam, you're already up on the mountain.
Right. So, the spread between Daaanty and ALttP coming out of ice is actually, I think, I want to say 40 seconds or something like that, but now, looking at their screens now, Daaanty made up quite a bit of time in the swamp split. He's actually about to flute to Mire here. Or no, he's getting, sorry. He gets both of them. I gotcha.
Yes,
so this is something else that I do as well. I get the ice rod while also getting ether. So after I get ether, I go to get the ice rod immediately afterwards.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness. Oh, it didn't blow up the wall! Are you kidding me?
Oh no! Oh, that was so rude on daaanty's side. That screen is the most anxiety-inducing screen, in my opinion, of the entire game. Because you can get situations like this, right, where you try and mow down the grass because you're going fast, and then suddenly you get ambushed by a guard, and then he makes you lose your position, and then of course, like, you can't even readjust the bomb. You lose health, so you don't have beams, and now you're also down a bomb because you had to try this again.
He chased that crab around trying to get a heart drop, but it just kept going away from where he's walking. That is the danger of going to get the ice rod before Meyer, though.
Alright, see, everything is just hunky-dory on Doomtap's side, right? What were we all worried about, you know? Very clean Argus fights.
Argus?
Or Argus, Vitreous. Still,
Suddenly a repeat boss. Suddenly
yeah,
Atomizer.
yeah. I mean, their eyes puffs, you know, what's the difference?
I know, yeah, it's like one of those things that people probably, like, you know, realizing that these are very similar bosses in that regard and probably might mix them up in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do not blame you one bit for making that mistake every now and then.
Yeah. Alright, it looks like though, Fricker's also going into Vitreous with actually, you know, pretty reasonable amount of health. I guess like the rule of thumb, I guess, is 7 is, you know, quote unquote comfortable. 5 is the minimum that you need in order to execute the fast kill on Vitreous. Mainly because we are, of course, health in this case is quite a bit of commodity in this dungeon, and we are going to damage boost ourselves in order to try and get a couple of sword spins in.
Right. Alright, so this part of the speedrun right here, where you see on MrAaronSnerd's screen, he is waiting for something to happen that we don't see. We obviously know what's happening because we've played this game before. Once you light that 4th torch, you look at your timer and you add 20 minutes to that. That should be your finish time.
Oh,
that's kind of one of those things that speedrun of this game, depending on if you get the ice rod or not. You look at your timer and add 20 minutes, and that should be your finish time. That's what
actually really cool to see, to know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but that's like a really good, like, kind of like back of the envelope estimate, right? As to, you know, am I on pace? Like, what is my finish time going to be? It's actually really nice to know. Oh, yeah. No, Fricker. Something about we were slashing the big eye. I didn't quite see the first part of the fight, but we were slashing the big eye versus using the bone arrow. Oh, but he maybe miscounted, and he was already on the mirror, so he didn't want to menu again to go back to the bone arrow.
Some people save the menu buffer. Yeah, I guess he just maybe didn't shoot enough arrows.
Right.
So he just the menuing would have lost him more time than it would have saved him. So.
Alright, so Doomtap actually finishing up Meyer. He got his ice rod. Surprisingly, good thing he took no damage. He also got through the Waffle House screen, also with no damage. This is, maybe like the early game RNG was a little bit rough, but I mean, like, Doomtap is really coasting through the end game here.
Yeah. He's had a pretty good run, all things. Oh, I shouldn't have opened my mouth.
Alright, Doomtap, you're watching this back. It's 109, you know, you can definitely give all the credit to Relkin for that dead rock.
Alright, I'll own up to that one.
No, we're all just giving you a hard time, don't worry. Well, it looks like though, yeah, dead rock dispersed. Is this free? Does that count if it's free?
Oh, man. I don't know. I feel like at that point I just cut my losses and just say, okay, I'll take that one, I guess, in return for the dead rocking.
Fair enough.
And not really, you know, wave my flag around like, oh, I got the quick warp, guys. Look how good I am.
Hey, you know, at 34 frames is 34 frames, right? Alright, looks like though, again, also Fricker almost got crabbed. Luckily, he stopped his dash and turned around to kill the crab before, I guess, running towards the bird. Hopefully in this case... Oh, sorry. You did get bamboozled by a dead rock on Waffle House screen, but, you know, one or two hearts is not going to be too big of a difference. Doomtap was fortunate enough to come into Turtle Rock with sword beams, of course. If you have them, you can preemptively, you know, shoot a couple sword beams to try and disperse the Bari. Not, of course, required, but always kind of be nice.
Right. Okay, so remember we talked about the fairy in the prize pack?
Man, that was like 45 minutes ago or something.
Man, that was so long ago. It was like half a run ago or something.
Yeah.
All right, so this upcoming enemy here in this room has a chance to drop a fairy because it is in that same prize pack as those guards. Let's see if it drops here. It does not. Okay.
No, unfortunately. So we did not win the initial 50-50 coin tosses, but, you know, the good news is that we have, like, what, 3 more Pokies? Oh my gosh, Doomtap!
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking there.
Okay.
Yes, we have 3 more chances, 3 more enemies, I should say, that have a chance to drop that fairy. Upcoming in 2 rooms from now, we have 1 more shot. Yeah, so those enemies in that room, they do 4 hurts of damage, and their movement is random, and they like to get in your way when you try and hit those switches, and that's why we don't like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, of course, this jury is still out on what they consider to be the quote-unquote worst enemy of the game, but I guarantee you, like, Chomps are gonna make, like, everyone's top, 5 list, basically, as to what the worst one is. Alright, there we go. You know, we got the heart, we got the fairy, we're all to full health. If we can keep beams for the crystal roller room, it can save us a half a second. Not terribly a big deal, but, you know, if we end up getting hit, we end up getting hit, right? But you can get a little bit of time saved with again, sword beams, so it's nice to have.
Yeah, so getting that fairy there is certainly nice for one of the upcoming rooms. It makes it a lot more consistent. So yeah, we appreciate the fairy when we see it.
Yeah, alright, so speaking of though, now Fricker is also on to his Chomps, or at least Pokies first. Hopefully he's going to get his fairy. I believe, in this case, yeah, both of them should be able to have it. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
nice
okay,
on Fricker's side.
We got it on Fricker's side. Okay, so now quickly to switch over to daaanty and ALttP. Look how close they are right now.
They are very, very close. I mean, this is like, in this case, what, 1 screen difference? Looks like maybe 10-ish seconds?
No, it's
probably less
than
right?
that. It is.
Yeah.
Let me look at daaanty's timer, like 6 seconds.
6 seconds, yeah. I mean, this is, very, very close on their side.
And I want you to also take a look at both. Okay, so one thing to remember here, if you remember in Aga Tower, ALttP got the heart drop off the guard. Do you remember if he got the fairy drop from the mini Helmasaur pod?
I don't. Okay, so I don't remember, but I also don't remember seeing it. Otherwise, okay. I would have registered to be like, oh no, like he might have some trouble in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, so that makes me think
in this
he
case,
didn't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned this, right? Like, daaanty and MrAaronSnerd is just opening up Turtle Rock, Oh man, I don't even know if there was even 6 seconds there.
They're so close. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So daaanty has to pick that bomb up. You have to have at least 1 bomb coming out Turtle Rock, and that's the bomb you pick up if you have 0.
Yeah, unfortunately, daaanty had to spend extra bomb to get his ice rod because he got bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah, showing us in this case how nice it is to have sword beams. Again, you don't want the Bari to come after you, and then so if you can disperse it preemptively, that's really nice. Oh no, Fricker though unfortunately didn't quite get the Pokies,
but he got a bonus.
10 pack. Oh man. Oh, alright, nice constellation prize at least. I mean, if you're gonna get something out of it, like 10 arrows is definitely one of the best prizes. Alright, Doomtap. On to try next, but Doomtap's actually had a pretty smooth ride so far for this run. Okay,
let's see. So let's wait for Doomtap to finish out this fight. He menus to the hook shot because that's what you do there, and he kills him. Awesome. All right. So you may have just noticed a lead change. So MrAaronSnerd did the mirror strats after the roller room, and that is a little slower because you do not get out as fast of that room. Or I guess you don't get onto the next part of the dungeon as fast. So now daaanty is just taking the lead over AalttP.
This is actually a really good demonstration, right? People talk about like, oh yeah, the mirror strat's slower. It's slower by I don't know, handful of seconds, right?
6 seconds or so.
Yeah. But it's like this is like a really nice demonstration as actually caused a lead change in this particular case for daaanty to be ahead. So actually, it really is really beneficial if you can damage boost off, the rollers and run out versus mirror out.
Okay, something else I wanted to touch on before we move on to the Gans Tower. So AalttP's count, arrow count was 3 coming into the dungeon. For arrow management, this late in the game, if you have no, let's just say for instance you have no arrows, you want to pick up that pot he just picked up, a pot in GT right before the big key, and then the chest right above the big key. And that'll get you to 20 arrows. And after that, you do that boss fight that uses 18 arrows at least, and then you pick up the arrows after that. it's typical that you see people pick up arrows in places like Swamp Palace. There are 2 pots in there you could pick up. I did take note that Aaron did not pick up a particular pot. I was a little surprised. He may just not know about it, but you definitely want to pick that pot up in Swamp just so you don't have as low arrows. It's just one of those things that you probably become more accustomed to as you play the game longer and you know about these things. And some ALttP may just not know about it. I'm not sure, but it's just one of those things that can really make a difference if you're careful with it or not careful about it.
Yeah, also, potentially speaking of, picking up resources or maybe you don't want, so he actually went out of his way to kind of like pick up the 8-pack for bombs. Typically speaking, like, kind of after the fairy, maybe after the big magic drop, you're not really interested anymore in taking on any more bombs, or anything else that's kind of like drop from enemies afterwards, so it's kind of like a reason why if you can keep basically 1 or 2 bombs, something like that within GT, that's kind of like all you need.
He's still having that slight lead over ALttP right now. See, it's looking at his timer 43 and like 46, so 2.5 seconds, I think.
Yeah, in this case, right. So now daaanty, I think, Doomtap actually, and Yoho, oh no! Alright. I think he was trying to go for the fast strat in this case, like basically, run, dash over and then, dash into the beetle while it's still, in this case, like near the wall. You kind of like use those items kind of like scooch around him in order to get the small key. But unfortunately, daaanty fell, and one of the reasons why you actually don't want to fall is, well, falling is much slower than you running and dashing back to on the platform, right? So you really don't want to sacrifice that amount of time.
There's that chest with arrows in it that Doomtap, goodness, opted to pick up there for the slide. Actually, he needed to, so yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, so like, you spend, let's say, 18 arrows here, you're left with 9, so would you just not open the chest after the big key? You just go up with this, or
I
do
think
you
in a race scenario, I might open this chest at 9 arrows,
okay,
honestly.
alright.
But Doomtap is
okay,
going.
yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? He has beams. He can save 1 arrow here, so he's a little more safe. Okay, in his situation, actually, I probably would skip it too.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Somehow, how Doomtap doesn't take any damage and still keeps beams is a good demonstration. Anytime you have projectiles, versus an arrow, and I guess maybe he was also just counting on a drop in mimics. Also very helpful. Man, those are fast mimics, though. Jeez.
Yeah. See, that level of mimic is just shows you why they're 120. Why Doomtap's a 123 runner.
All right, so the Fricker though, gonna go. He has so he also got the 10 arrow drop from the Pokey, so he's actually really good on arrows. I assume in this case he doesn't pick up any arrows. Assuming
no, he will not pick up any arrows at all. He can just pick that one up right there, and he'll be good.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you see in this
his
case,
bomb count is a little bit different, but
yeah, that's true. Yeah, in this case, you try to see him basically try and get rid of his bombs as much as he can.
Yeah, so the side effect sometimes of getting to that arrow pack in Turtle Rock that he got, you might end up picking up the 8 bomb drop, and that's not necessarily something you want. It's kind of more of an annoyance with menuing than anything else.
Yeah, right. Alright, so Doomtap though, he's on the gauntlet. Actually still a reasonable amount of health going in. Man, he's already through G5 too. Meanwhile, again, like MrAaronSnerd versus daaanty, like this race is it's so close, right? So daaanty overtook MrAaronSnerd in the beginning of Turtle Rock because MrAaronSnerd ended up mirroring out, but then daaanty unfortunately had a little bit of trouble on Laser Bridge in order to get the small key, and now here we are, right? The lead is swung back, and they're basically just entering GT roughly at the same time.
Fricker,
nice.
Not having
mimics.
quite as fast as mimics, but he has some good mimics.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right, so MrAaronSnerd actually taking the small key off the torch. So that is another one of, I would say, player preference. You can get any one of the 3 small keys that are available to you. So the first one being on the torch, the second one being here, upcoming on Doomtap's side in the mini Helma room, and the third one is the pre-Moldholm chest. The torch one is by far the safest and easiest, just because all you gotta do is bonk the torch and there you go, right? But it is roughly a second or something like that, slower than the rest.
Yeah. It's more of a safety strat than anything, I guess, if you don't want to have to try and deal with the supposedly harder strat of getting past the anti-fairy in the room before Moldorm 2. Right here, you'll see from Doomtap's side, he's going to do the hookshot strat here, where you lift this pot, hit the switch with it, and then hookshot from that pot below.
Oh, so pretty. And you also, right, and you also kind of see Doomtap demonstrating why you don't want so many bombs, because in this case, when he used his last bomb to bomb open the wall, when he switched over to hookshot, it's actually one fewer, position or whatever, right?
Okay, something else I wasn't really expecting, but it is something that you can go for. ALttP, yeah.
Oh, he
did
actually,
that intentionally.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, because that's also good knowledge to have. That once you get into that room, there are also a free 5 arrows for you.
We'll see what he does here, though. Looks like he's going for mic arrows because he's lifting the pot in such a way that the anti-fairy gets out. It's a safer strat. It is definitely a lot slower, but it's a safer strat.
Yeah, and while we do care very much about health, and, both daaanty and MrAaronSnerd are basically at full health, it's kind of more about the magic that we care about from the anti-fairies. One heart from the anti-fairies is whatever. You really want to have a full bar of magic going up GT. Yeah. Like, so in the switch room, there is a magic pot you can pick up, just in case, right? But again, takes extra time, right? Oh no, did Doom, did he get, what, did he not get a 2-cycle?
No, he didn't. He definitely got at least 1 blue ball, so therefore I think it was either a 3 or 4 cycle. I wasn't paying too close attention.
I mean, well, I don't know if Doomtap's ended up watching, the restream or Fricker at all, but he has a, I would say, like, pretty, comfortable margin going into Doomtap. Going to Ganon. As of course, okay, 122. If something happens on Ganon, I'm sorry, Doomtap.
Yeah. So people are talking about if he can get a 123 still. There is a very slim chance he can, but it depends on how many warps he gets.
Oh yeah, speaking of warps, world record was actually just broken, and it was almost ruined by the fact that Ganon has too many warps.
Oh man, I meant to bring that up at some point, but that was very, very close to watch.
Oh, daaanty. Nice GBZ on his side. A good reading of the RNG. Somehow ahead of MrAaronSnerd. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he got the clean dash, so daaanty's gonna go and start his gauntlet a little bit before MrAaronSnerd.
Oh. Getting hit by that Vimos. Hopefully he doesn't lose too much more health. You definitely want to not lose a lot of health just so you can have a comfier, Ganon fight. But we'll make do with what we have once we get there. Yeah, talking about, in this case, comfy Ganon fights. Or, I mean, Doomtap's actually got quite a bit of health. I think he can actually take 1 Ganon hug if he really needs to. But otherwise, he did get Torch Glitch. In this case, giving him enough time to get in these 3 spins, basically, where he has to relight the torch and just kind of going through the motions. Alright, he should have oh no, he early! Oh no. Oh, he didn't even get the recovery. Oh man, that was... I think he could have had the 123 there if he didn't mess that up. No, okay, never mind. He had a couple more hits. Never mind.
Okay. Man. Alright, other than that, really solid run on Doomtap's side. So he is actually going to be the first of our 4 runners to finish. Get your GGs in chat for Doomtap. As soon as he hits done in the race room, ZSR bot I think is going to give us an official time.
Give it a second. It should pop up here in a little bit. And there it is.
Yeah, 1:24.12. Really, really impressive time. Especially in a race setting, right? You talk about PBs, right? I think if you're within a minute of your PB, you're probably pretty happy, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, just playing to the consistency of how low can you what is your consistency level? Are you consistently getting low 124s? High 124s, or for some runners, 123s.
Yeah.
Getting 123s in 30 days, stuff like that.
Yeah, something like that. Actually, even Ari even raced this morning at 3 a.m. Eastern time, and he got what he said. He got his first 123 in a race, because that's really cool.
Yeah, that was actually interesting to hear that, because I guess he got a 123, maybe a few years ago or something like that. And I guess he just never got it in a race setting, so that was interesting to read. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, GG's to Doomtap. He does win the race over Fricker. Fricker is still going to play it out. Let's look at how his phase 4 is going here.
Yeah, what happened on daaanty's side? Did he try to hover, or did he get knocked off from Moldorm? Because he was, I think, in the lead over.
No,
Mr.
he's in lead.
AalttP. No, I mean, he was, but he fell to Moldorm. Like he fell on the bottom. I don't know how he got down there. But like either he was knocked off or he just fell because of hovering.
Okay, well, Aaron, if it happened to him, it also happened to Aaron because I guess they both fell because he's still ahead.
All right, okay, that is a Ganon down for Fricker. So he is actually going to, even though he is second place in the 4-way restream, officially he was racing Doomtap. So he is actually going to take second place in the Dark World division for round 3. Both of the runners are 2-0. In this case, so Doomtap is going to be 3-0, and Fricker's not going to be 2-1 for his record. 126.03. Still a really nice run. Alright, so now this is actually the Light World division between daaanty and MrAaronSnerd. Oh my gosh! Dude, we are seconds apart dropping it to Ganon.
Yeah, so what you saw there, the Agatufi is one of those things that there's a little bit of luck involved, but there's definitely a lot of weird, execution things you gotta be used to do the fight well. And if depending on the pattern you get, if you can react well to it and execute your turns and sword slashes properly, you can make the fight a lot faster. Aaron got 1 cycle faster than daaanty, I want to say.
Alright, so it looks like it was like, what, 4 seconds, I think? Something like that between MrAaronSnerd and daaanty. And yeah, and I think, as is being pointed out, this is not like, the randomizer, again, warps are not seeded, movement patterns are not seeded, hopefully it's not going to be determined by the number of warps, but this is a super, super close race. Oh my gosh, daaanty!
Okay, I think he's fine.
Oh my gosh,
but AalttP messes up the 1-1.
And he does not get the 1-1 at the bottom, so daaanty just needs to survive and not get hit, and hopefully not fall.
That too, yes. And then, but warps are a thing.
That's right.
He
Warps
hasn't
are
got a
also
lot of
things.
warps yet, though. I think he's fine. Okay, yeah, he's got no warps.
Right, yeah. This is very fortunate for daaanty. Hopefully in this case, not going to be too many warps on MrAaronSnerd's side either.
And now if you get the torch glitch daaanty, he got it. All right.
Yeah, very, very imperative at this point, right? So torch glitch lets you have time for triples. If you miss torch glitch, you really realistically have time only for doubles, right? So it's like basically, 50% more time.
Yeah, and also it takes longer because you have to menu to the lamp because magic consumption.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But looks like both runners. Oh wait, did Aaron not? Oh, did he go for lamp torch glitch? Okay, that's how he went for lamp torch glitch.
Oh, yeah, right, and especially in a race setting, very understandable, right? It's much easier to spam the lamp versus, fire rod.
Yeah, it uses way less magic, and it's, more consistent. But, you like to go fast, and you want to save that menu. All right, so daaanty probably has 1 hit. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, wow. Photo finish on daaanty's side. Look at a couple more hits to go on MrAaronSnerd's side, but, oh man. All right, daaanty is hopefully going to be crossing this finish line. I'm going to take at least 3rd place on the restream, but 1st place in the Light World division race against MrAaronSnerd. GG's, daaanty. Wow, what a close race between these guys.
Used to daaanty and AalttP, that was a super whole way through. Like, shout-outs to that one.
Alright, MrAaronSnerd has also finished up in the 4-way race. 129.03. daaanty had 128.50 something? 52. Wow.
52.
Yeah.
See if we can get all of our runners in an interview here in a little bit. Looks like we got... Okay. Can I do some... No, I can't. Okay. I'm going to try and drag one of the runners up, but I can't do that. I don't have the power. Oh, alright. So, I guess we can get this started here. We got, in the interview booth with us, the winner of the Light World side of this 4-way race, daaanty. GG's to you, dude.
GG's, daaanty. We also have the winner of the Dark World division, Doomtap. Hello. GG's.
Hello. GG's.
All right. Well, I guess you can start off by telling us what you thought of how well you played and what you thought the pacing of your run was like. Doomtap, you go first.
All right, sure. I'm happy with it, but I'm also not. Like, I got some pretty good luck, and I made a lot of mistakes, but it's still a really good time, especially for a race. And I think getting all the good luck made me play worse overall, just because of all the nerves. The
Oh,
PB,
man.
the PB nerves and the race nerves and the restream and everything like that.
Were you watching anything like Fricker or
I
the
was-
restream?
I had it open, but I didn't watch that much because I was trying to focus. But yeah, I was watching.
Yeah,
All
I was
right.
also yeah. How about you, Dante?
Well, I felt like everything I could capitalize on, I blew, and then of course everything that that was like, I don't know, bad RNG. I'm not good enough to know what good and bad RNG is. I know what works for me, and I know the stuff that I saw that it was like, this is ideal. I just did not capitalize ever. This just is like part of lack of reps, lack of practice. But yeah, GG's to everybody. This was like, I don't know. I think after Moldorm, I was like, I just want to quit. Like, there was so much red. I was in triple digits. I was like, I don't even want to play anymore, man. But it's a tournament, and in the in the spirit of it, I will keep playing and give my best effort. But yeah, it was mental. I guess mentality. I guess was like just in the tank most of this race.
Yeah, really glad that you absolutely clutched it out at the very end, especially when you were on half heart. Thank you, Sankart, by the way, going in Ganon.
Bless Sankart.
Yeah, a little bit worrisome. We also joined here by MrAaronSnerd, who I believe, at least according to Speedrun.com, you have a PB, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yo, heck yeah.
It was, I kind of threw away the 128 on Ganon, though.
That was a difference between you and Dante. Dante did get the 1-in-1 effect. That's how he pulled ahead.
I think I just got a little shaky on the, on the trying to fix it, and then it was, well, forget it. Like, I can't fix this now.
Looks like we are also joined by Fricker. GG's Fricker. You had a
Hello,
good run.
thanks. No, I didn't. But thank you.
Look good from our side.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing, not gonna lie, but sometimes this game is a bully, and that's just is what it is. GG Doom, that was a heck of a run you had.
GG's. I didn't get to see much of what you did because I was focused on trying to do well, but
Oh, I messed up everything. Mm-hmm. It's whatever. Disappointed, but it's fine. On a crazy note, that is 2 tournament runs in a row with 0 blue balls.
Oh,
The
you
odds
also
of that
as
is-
well. Oh, I
Yeah.
think we lost track with the number of blue balls, but that's awesome. Like Doomtap also has 0, so that's really wow.
Oh yeah, that really helped me.
Oh.
Yeah, to get 2 tournament runs in a row with 0 blue balls is astronomically impossible. But yeah, it's crazy.
I think you might be if you're trying to catch Shady's PB of 26 blue balls in 3 runs. I think you might have some work cut out for you in race 4.
You have to miss some aga hits for that to happen.
If anyone can do it, you can do it, Fricker.
Yeah.
So I guess I have to ask you, like, so do you just normally not pick up Sankar, like, at all? Like, even your PB attempts? Or, because you definitely haven't done this for races. I think you also didn't do it last year either for NMG.
I have always skipped Sankart. Since the beginning of mankind.
Wow.
I could be at a half a heart and still skip Sankart. That's fine.
That is impressive.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my run didn't go very well. I had a really bad RNG in Landmo. And after Hera, I knew I was done for. Like, the death I took from the mini Moldorm going into Tower Room was super unfortunate. The boulders going to Hera, I think I got hit at least 3 times. It was great. But, yeah, it's just bad.
Yep.
I think out of the 4 of you.
I don't like the Death Mountain screen either. And then
Yeah.
I was actually kind of confused because we weren't keeping super good track of what was happening on your screen, but I saw the red. I was like, wait, what happened? But it was almost intentional because I saw your health going into Hera, but it was just like, I don't know.
It is what it is. You can't have every run that's going to be good. Even with 0 blue balls, being a little rusty. It's fine. It's fine.
Mm.
I'm happy to race Doomtap. He's a fantastic player, and we kind of both started around the same time, so it's always a fun matchup, and I hope you guys enjoyed the race.
Definitely. It was quite the four-way to watch. I mean, so I guess maybe a little bit more time separating you, Fricker and Doomtap, but still like very high, like a really good execution. Although, like, I will say that the Light World, at least like, between daaanty and MrAaronSnerd, like, you guys were pretty close, like, the entire time. Despite, a couple of mishaps here and there, you guys have definitely traded leads, like, back and forth a lot.
Yeah, that game looked exciting at the end. You both were on Ganon doing spins, so...
Yeah, I was so mad. So two things weird in GT. One, I was, like, super mad that I didn't try for the hover just because like I go for killing Moldorm and then it shows that I don't know how to fight Moldorm too. So and then I got a double spin on the first Landmo or something. I don't know what happened, but he just died. I was like, okay, thanks. So that's a first for me. I'm not sure if that's like if there's a setup for that or just need good RNG, but it was
I think it's just if he goes up, that's the RNG. You can just stay in place basically and get the double spin.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I did take note of that, but I forgot to bring it up on the during the race. But yeah, I was like, dang, that was some nice magic saving strat. Yeah, that was so. Let me try to think here. Okay, so Aaron, I did bring this up during the race. So if you watch this back, you might hear me elaborate on this quite a bit. Do you know where all the arrow pots are, like in certain places?
You know what? It was so stupid of me to take that portal and take the 5. It's so much easier to just take the top right corner 5 in Bob's room, but I wasn't thinking, and I was like, "Oh God, I'm on PB pace. It's freaky." Like in my PBs, like my previous PB was 120, 33, right? So yeah, so it was on a good pace.
Yeah, that's fair. So in your that makes a lot of sense actually. So yeah, you're on good pace. I'm sure it happens to the best of us. Like you're on pace, and you kind of sometimes you might lose focus a little bit because you're so nervous. But yeah. So you knew about those. There's actually another pot in Swamp Palace in the room after you get hookshot. The bottom right one that has 5 arrows in it, and I was thinking to myself, oh no, you could have used those because you were so low in Swamp.
Yeah, that's one I actually didn't know. Funny enough, I feel like I picked it up and just not clued in that they're arrows, and you go, oh, well. So just letting you know that those could be lifesavers for you. Helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, this was a phenomenal race like set of runs to watch. Like, really, thank you guys so much for racing. Like, really, we'll be happy to be able to commentate this one.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Yep, GG's everyone, and good luck in your upcoming matches. I know I'll be seeing Relkin very shortly, but on the other side. Thank you very much, Clear Mouse and Relkin, for doing commentary. I always appreciate it. So, everyone stick around. In about 20 minutes, we should be having another NMG race, and it's going to be a 4-way, but this time it's going to be purely Dark World Round 3. So, so thanks everyone for joining us, and stick around. So, take care, and I'm not going to send you off anywhere because I want you to stick around here. So have a good night, and see you soon. Bye.